Nice team. Let's see what you can do. Captain America, Hulk, Deadpool, Wolverine, Doctor Doom, Spider-Man, 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 Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is one of the most popular characters in all of fiction, featuring in multiple films, video games, and television shows, on top of the countless comic books from which he originates, with plans for more of all of these things on the way. With that in mind, it would be safe to assume that every single Spider-Man project that goes into production sees the light of day. Well, have I got a story for you. 6 stories, in fact, as over the course of the next 2 videos, I'll be going over 6 cancelled Spider-Man projects, some being continuations of what we already know, and some being original projects. Be sure to smash the absolute shit out of that like button if you like these 2 videos, and subscribe if you want to see more. Let's do this, baby! Spider-Man the Animated Series ran from November 19th, 1994 to January 31st, 1998, and it was iconic. Spider blood, radio, spider blood. I grew up on the DVDs of this show and I fucking loved it. It gave us fantastic renditions of classic Spider-Man storylines such as the Symbiote Saga, but it also, interestingly, gave us the first idea of what the Spider-Verse is. As in the series finale, he meets so many Spider-Men. The Spider-Verse comic books wouldn't come out until 2014, and the Spider-Verse movie wouldn't come out until 2018. Sadly, the show was cancelled after its 5th season, despite still doing incredibly well and fans still tuning in every Saturday morning. Apparently, allegedly, on the streets, my sources tell me that producer of the show, Avi Arad, got into an argument with the head of Fox Kids, Margaret Loesch. I'm pretty sure that's Loesch. Look, I don't know what the fight was about because I wasn't there, but it does seem pretty petty to cancel a whole show due to a disagreement. But again, I wasn't there. I don't know what the disagreement was about. So, I don't know. That being said, there were actually financial issues as Marvel was on the verge of bankruptcy. The series was also originally ordered for 65 episodes, which it did meet. So technically speaking, Fox Kids had no real legal requirement to renew the show. Series head writer John Semper has spoken about where the series would have gone had it been renewed, as the cliffhanger at the end of season 5 would have been directly addressed. At the end of the series, Madam Web, no, not that one. You know what? Never that one. It's never going to be that one. It's the one who's voiced by Stan Lee's wife, Joan Lee. Yeah, that's true, by the way.
That's Stan Lee. He's quite a guy.
I think he's truly special.
Sex!
Anyway, she promises to help Spider-Man find Mary Jane, who disappeared earlier in the series through a black hole. Yeah, look, it was a whole thing. Green Goblin stole the powers of the Spot, or actually, technically Hobgoblin did. And then Green Goblin stole them from him? I don't know. It resulted basically in Mary Jane and Green Goblin falling through them. Basically, this was their way of killing characters without actually killing them off, as it was a children's TV show, and those shows had regulations that prevented any kind of death or blood, or basically anything that was considered too graphic. Honestly, it's insane how they were able to work around that. I know it sounds ridiculous the way I've described it, but if you watch the show, it actually worked very naturally as a story. Well, I mean, as well as a green man stealing the powers of a Dalmatian man. So anyway, the proposed 6th season would have featured Spidey time traveling to early Victorian London, where he not only would have found Mary Jane, who would have had amnesia, but Carnage, who fell through a portal too, a different portal. It was with Dormammu and Mordo and wait, but it didn't have Doctor Strange. Actually, no, Doctor Strange was not in that story. Was Doctor Strange in this show? I can't remember. But he wasn't in that story. Iron Man was in that story for some bizarre reason. You know what? It doesn't matter. The point is, Carnage would have been there too. And he was posing as Jack the Ripper. Now, personally, I'm sure this would have been great, but I actually always assumed that the Carnage that attaches to the alternate Spider-Man in the series finale was the same one from earlier in the show. But I guess not. I guess it's like a variant of the symbiote. I don't know. Look, to tell you the truth though, there are so many Spider-Man shows that have been cancelled, and out of all of them, this one actually, to me, felt like it got the most closure, because I always viewed Madam Web's promise as certain, as if the very next scene was their reunion and not a whole time travel thing. I don't know. But if you're disappointed about not seeing this, don't worry, because in X-Men 97, which is set in the same universe as this show, we see this version of Spider-Man. And we also see this version of Mary Jane, with X-Men 97's creator confirming that he did find her. There is also a comic that continues this story directly, I believe, but I don't know how good it is. I haven't seen anything about it. The only thing I've seen is that people aren't happy with how Peter looks. By the way, in this show, Peter is fucking jacked. Holy shit. Like, why are we not doing this in other versions? Every single version of Spider-Man is either muscular but still quite skinny and small, or he's just skinny. Just bring back jacked Spider-Man, please. Honestly, this show could very well come back. I actually think it will come back one day. I know that the voice cast, those who are still alive at least, definitely want to come back and do this. So I definitely could see it happening. Plus, Marvel have the ability to bring this back like they did with X-Men 97. Or at the very least, I do think that this version of Spider-Man will pop up in that show. And maybe he'll actually get some lines. And maybe even a little story. I don't know. I mean, a boy can hope. A boy can dream. Out of everything I'll mention on this list, this one actually has the most potential to come back. Did you know that Avatar and Terminator's own Jimmy's Hot Sauce Cameron was very close to making a Spider-Man film in the 1990s? That's right. Unlike some famous directors who just want to talk shit about Marvel, look, I'm not going to name any names, but I will point fingers. Cameron was actually a massive Marvel Comics fan.
Say ahead of time that I'm not going to diss the Marvel or the DC universe.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Love those movies. Let's just get that off the table.
And he desperately wanted to get a Spider-Man film off the ground after the release of Terminator 2. And it actually got really close to happening, as a screenplay was written, with the first draft featuring Arnold as Doc Ock. Spider-Man, I'll get you, Spider-Man. Oh, that Arnold impression sucks. You know what? I'm going to keep it in. And I'll just hope for the best. Anyway, this was actually later changed to Boyd and Carlton Strand as the villains, who were adaptations of Sandman and Electro, respectively. By the way, neither of those names are accurate, like at all. I have no idea why they changed them. Of course, you probably knew that because both of those villains would later appear in 2 poorly received Spider-Man films and 1 well-received one. But anyway, their names in those movies are accurate to the comic books. I don't know why they were changed here. Also, interestingly, the previously mentioned Spider-Man animated series was vetoed from using these villains, as the film was in development around the same time as this show. I guess they wanted audiences to view these as the definitive versions of these, or something. I don't fucking know. The show actually opted to use Hydro Man instead of Sandman. Well, Electro actually does appear in the final season. Yeah, you're right, he does actually, but by then the movie was cancelled. Also in the show, he's the Red Skull's son, which is also not accurate, but whatever. Anyway, the film would have told Spider-Man's origins, with Cameron describing Peter's emerging powers as a metaphor for puberty. His top choice for the character was Leonardo can't date a woman my own age, Aprio. Although I actually doubt he would have done this. He's made it very clear that he doesn't want to be involved with this genre. He has a fear of being typecast. I feel like now, surely you'd be okay with it though, right? Like, you've done so much. Like, surely you'd be okay with doing one. I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't actually think he would work as any comic book character. He's a great actor. I just don't see him as any of these characters. But why was it cancelled? Well, it could have been the production company, Carolco Studios, going into bankruptcy. It could have been the graphic sex scene Peter would have had with Mary Jane on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. Yes, I am serious. That was in the script. That was going to happen. Or it could have been Cameron himself leaving the project after he became frustrated with how long the process was taking. To be honest, I think it was probably that one. Now, I love Cameron's films, the ones I've seen at least, and I do like the idea of a darker, more serious Spider-Man. A lot of the 90s comics are quite darker and a little bit more melodramatic, which actually kind of like, I think it works. I like those stories a little bit. I don't love them, but I think they work. But this sounds fucking shit. I honestly think had this come out, it would have potentially ruined Marvel. And I'll explain why. So Sam Raimi's Spider-Man film, which did come out, was a love letter to the character, and it allowed general audiences who don't read comics to gain a solid understanding of the character, which resulted in the fan base that we know today. This would have made them think that he's a weird, dark character who has sex on top of a bridge. And it would have influenced what the world thought Spider-Man was. For example, this is going to be, people are going to hate this. The Michael Keaton Batman films are beloved. I think they're fine. I mean, I'd rather watch the animated series than either of the films, to be honest with you, but whatever. But people fucking love those movies because they introduced Batman to general audiences.
I'm Batman.
Remember, their only previous introduction to the character was this. I like this, by the way. I like Adam West. I don't like him more than Michael Keaton, but I like this show. I think it has, it has novelty to it. I think it's charming. However, those movies, the Michael Keaton ones, are completely inaccurate to the comics. No, Bruce Wayne does not sleep upside down. No, he doesn't kill people. That's a really big issue for me, by the way. No, Joker did not kill Bruce's parents. I fucking hate that. No, Penguin is not some gross mutant. He's just a guy who looks a little penguin-esque. And no, Catwoman does not have 9 lives. She's just a cat burglar. But general audiences of this era think this shit is the definitive interpretation of these characters. Now, if you like them, that's fine. I also like these movies despite the mentioned issues that I have. But you see my point, right? Had Cameron's film come out, everyone would have thought that Sandman, a character who actually has a lot of depth and complexity, was named Boyd and was going to just be a goon. He wasn't going to have any of the characteristics that we love about the Sandman character. I am so glad this film was not made. I just think it would have been shit. Spider-Man Web of Shadows was a video game released in 2008 and told the story of a symbiote invasion. I think. I don't know. I actually never played it. I don't know. Whenever I think of this game, I always think of that sad Spider-Man walk from the trailer. Anyway, this game was a relative success, which of course meant sequel time, baby. Titled Spider-Man Classic. It would have featured a team up between Spider-Man and Angry Knife Hands Man, who appeared in the previous game. However, this time he would have also been playable. The game got its title as it would have featured iconic fights from the comic books that would have been replicated during the game's story. One visual artist on the game described it as being told in panel-by-panel faithfulness. The game would have also featured new villains such as Carnage and Mysterio, who weren't in the first game. However, the game was cancelled. Shocking. I mean, it honestly shouldn't be shocking given the context of this video, but whatever. Anyway, the cancellation was likely due to Shabba Games, who developed the first game, going out of business. I mean, I'm no expert, but I can't imagine the production company going out of business would have helped the development. But again, I'm not an expert. I actually would have liked to have seen this one. The idea of allowing players to engage in famous moments from the comic books sounds like a really interesting idea. But alas, we have to settle with the PS4 Spider-Man game that I have played and loved. What a terrible world we live in. Alright, well that is the end of part 1 of my 2-part cancelled Spider-Man projects video. Be sure to tune into the next part where I'll talk about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 and The Amazing Spider-Man 3 starring Andrew Garfield. And let me know in the comments which of these so far you wish we had gotten, or why you're glad we didn't get them. Thanks everyone for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe.